The other common disease that gets a lot of press and a lot of meat withdrawal is E. coli. E. coli is a bacteria that's usually found in the colon of animals and many other places. The E. coli we're talking about happens to be a particular virulent one that cattle can carry. There's a lot of theories about it, and I'll throw you some stuff together that I kind of think, and it's not my thinking, but things that I've absorbed. Number one, you can't crowd cattle. If you crowd cattle, you increase stress. The cattle don't have as much resistance, their own resistance against E. coli, and that you get a bigger chance of getting E. coli. The other thing about E. coli is there's some connection, or seems to be, between feeding distiller grain and E. coli. This is published in the trade magazines. It's not a secret. It's not for sure, but statistically, there appears to be a significant leak. So we don't use any distiller grains. I probably wouldn't use them anyhow, but that's another subject. Also, with E. coli, there are some people, I'm not sure I'm one, I'm sitting on the fence, that believe that certain breeds of cattle, certain strains of cattle, or cattle that come from certain areas are more likely to have E. coli. I don't know about that. That's just what is in the trade, what people talk about. Angus is not one of the breeds that's considered or thought about, but because the majority of the meat in this country is Angus related, one would think that sooner or later Angus might get a tainted name from this, just by statistical, but they haven't. And certainly an operation like mine does not have an E. coli problem. In fact, people who like to eat their steak raw, or almost raw, I call that rare, I like mine medium rare, can buy steak from us and feel confident there's not a threat. The same thing with my hamburger. The hamburger comes from our cows. When you get hamburger from stores or from vendors, nobody knows where that hamburger came from. Hamburger is a composite of all kinds of meats that nobody else wants, and they mix discarded meat, maybe sometimes from several plants. There is a business of meat trimmings. I mean, there's a market for it. Trimmings are put into the hamburger. It's usually to increase the fat content. It's to make very low-grade meat that you make hamburger with it. You couldn't eat it. So you've got to add fat to it from the good animals somewhere. And so you're mixing not only meat and fat from different herds or multiple herds, a lot of times from multiple countries, or at least two countries at a time. A lot of the imported meat doesn't have enough fat or enough trimming that they can make decent hamburgers out of it, so then they have to buy the trimmings out of animals like ours to make it taste decent and also make it palatable.